This is our Chapter 8 StudyCast, Part 1 of Fractions. First question, what fraction names the shaded part of the shape? Joe? Is that a fraction? 5 what? Close. 5/8. Okay, so in order to get a fraction, the numerator, top number, tells us the number of shaded pieces. In this case, there are 5. The denominator, the bottom number, tells us the number of total pieces. That's how you make your fraction. Second question, Allison bought 12 books. 1/6 of the books she bought were on sale. How many of the books were on sale? So essentially, in this question, we are looking for 1/6 of 12. 2 ways to do it. I'm going to explain the first one, then we'll come to more questions like this where you can volunteer. 2 ways to do this kind of question. Number 1, we're looking at 1/6. Okay, so we can divide these 12 books into 6 equal groups. Okay, so now I have made the whole set is one whole. And then each circled part is 1/6 of the group. When I look in each 1/6 area, I can see how many of the books are in my each circled group. How many are in each circled group? Kyle?
2.
2. The answer is 2 books were on sale. Here's the other way to do it. There are 12 books altogether. We have to find 1/6 of 12. There's a long, very mathematical way to explain why what I'm about to show you works. But basically, all you need to know is what you are doing is dividing the 12 books by the denominator in the fraction. Same answer. I'll explain quickly. When we are finding 1/6 of 12, it's actually multiplying a fraction. Some of you will be able to catch some of this, so I'm going to explain it very quickly. But if you don't get it, don't worry, because this is more like 4th and 5th grade material. When we're doing 1/6 of 12, we're actually multiplying 1/6 times 12. When we multiply a fraction times a whole number, we actually have to put the whole number over 1. Any whole number, if we want to make it into a fraction, we can always put 1 as the denominator, and that's the same as a whole number. Not to be confused with same numerator, same denominator equals 1 whole. I mean any number, 6, the whole number, if we want to make it a fraction, it's 6 over 1. Okay? So that aside, when we are doing 1/6 of 12, we are actually multiplying 1/6 times 12. And when we are multiplying fractions, we multiply across the numerators. 12 times 1 is 12. And across the denominators, 6 times 1 is 6. 12 over 6, I've told you before, is the same as division. 12 over 6 is 12 divided by 6, which brings us back to 2. So basically, you can cut out this whole step and get yourself winding up to this, as long as it's 1/6, as long as it's a unit fraction. Does that make sense? Okay, so what you should understand from that is when you are finding 1/6 or 1/4 or 1/8 of a number, you're actually multiplying that whole number by the fraction. And that's how you get your answer. So again, the 2 ways to do it for you to concentrate on is to divide it into the equal groups or to divide by the denominator of the unit fraction. Good? Great. 2 friends share 6 oranges equally. How much does each friend get? So I'm going to explain this one too, and then you can try one of the next ones. So let me explain this one. There are 2 friends, they are sharing 6 oranges. Do I have more or less oranges than I have people sharing them? More oranges than people sharing them, or less oranges than people sharing them? Abby? I have more oranges because I have 6 oranges and 2 friends. So as I'm looking around the room, I'm seeing some people are doing exactly what you should be doing in this kind of problem. And they're dividing each orange in half. That's great. But I'm going to save you a step. And I just saw that Joe did it. I'm going to save you a step because there are more oranges than there are friends. So I can think about that and say, if there are more oranges, that means that each friend gets at least 1 whole orange. Is that true? Okay. So I don't have to, I'm not sure if I have to divide them in half yet. Let's see. So friend A can get this orange and friend B can get this one. A can get this one, B can get this one, A gets this orange and B gets this orange. How many does friend A get? Mia?
3.
How many does friend B get?
3.
3. So each friend gets 3 oranges. Here's another way to do it. There are 2 friends sharing the oranges. So maybe I'm not going to think when I'm taking a test about the fact that there are more oranges than friends. Whatever we do, we take the number of friends who are sharing and we divide each object into that number. So I'm going to divide each of these in half. Okay? Then I'm going to shade half for each one. So how many halves of an orange does each friend get? How many halves? Isabella? 6 halves. So if I make that into a fraction, 6 halves is 6 over 2. Then we divide it. 6 over 2 is the same as 6 divided by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. This shape is divided into equal parts. What is the number of equal parts? How many equal parts in this shape? John? 4. Valerie shaded a model to show the goals she scored in the soccer game last week. What fraction of the goals in the game did Valerie score? Jojo.
1/4.
Correct. What is the name for the parts? Now don't get confused. The last one asked how many equal parts. This is asking the name for the parts. Nope, not for the whole thing, for the parts. Count how many there are and think of the fractional name when there are that many pieces. Sixths. This is cut into sixths. Good. Which fraction names point A on a number line? Joanna. Correct. Mr. Angelo sliced 2 pizzas into equal parts. What fraction greater than 1 names both pizzas? Before we answer this question, I just want to highlight something for you. Whenever you see fraction greater than 1, that's a signal. Can anyone tell me what signal that should be going off in your mind about the numerator and the denominator when you know that the fraction is greater than 1? Christian?
The numerator is going to be higher than the
Excellent. The numerator must be greater than the denominator in order for the fraction to be greater than 1. Anytime the numerator is smaller than the denominator, that means the fraction is less than 1 whole. Okay? So what fraction greater than 1 names both pizzas? I will tell you without you having to count because you're sitting far away, that each pizza is cut into eighths. Who can figure out the fraction greater than 1 that names the pizzas? They're cut into eighths. Who can tell me the whole number that names the pizzas first? Tell me the whole number. How many pizzas are there? How many whole pizzas? Whole pizzas. Christina? 2 whole pizzas. Okay, so we know that there are 2 whole pizzas. It has to be equal to a fraction over 8 because they're divided into eighths. So what you can do is think to yourself, what number divided by 8 equals 2. Or all you can do is count. Jojo? 16/8. 16/8. 3 teachers share 7 brownies equally. How much does each teacher get? So again, there are more brownies than there are teachers. That's one important thing to remember. So each teacher is getting at least 1 whole brownie. What should we do with each of these brownies? Okay, okay, so there are 3 teachers, so I have to label with A, B, C, right? Okay, A, B, C, A, B, C. Okay, now what? Now what do I do? Split it into thirds. Excellent job. So every teacher gets, let's look at teacher A, gets 1, 2 brownies, 2 brownies, and then how much of the last brownie does each teacher get? Not 2 1/2. 2 and 1, Abby? 2 1/3 brownies. Awesome job. The other thing you could have done is you could have divided each of the brownies into 3 equal pieces. We're going to just imagine those lines are equal. And you could shade each one, 4, 5, 6, 7, and each teacher would get 7/3. But that's a little more difficult to divide, isn't it? 7/3. Can you divide 7 by 3? Watch this. This is very 4th grade. Very 4th grade. You can do it, but it doesn't divide evenly. This is a 4th grade thing that the 4th grade learners are learning right now. This is what you do. It's called a mixed number. It turns into this. Because 7 divided by 3, I can't divide 7 by 3, but I can divide 6 by 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. And then I have 1 left over. That's called converting improper fractions to mixed numbers, and that is very 4th grade. And if you can remember that next year, I'm sure I'll hear Mrs. Dione or Mrs. Caligari screaming with joy, and then you can come thank me. All right, Caleb took 24 photos at the zoo. 1/8 of his photos are giraffes. How many of Caleb's photos are giraffes? So remember, when I'm finding 1/8 of 24, I can actually just do a division problem, or I can draw a picture . Twenty-four x's, and I can divide them into 8 equal groups. Who can tell me what 1/8 of 24 is? The same as Bella? 3. Question? No, 250. David sold 6 apple trees. He sold 5 of the apple trees to Max. What fraction of the apple trees did he sell to Max? This is a quick one. He sold 6 apple trees. He sold 5 of them to Max. What fraction? Jojo? What is it? 5/6. 5 of the apple trees to Max. 5 out of the 6 went to Max. Each shape is 1 whole. Write a fraction greater than 1 that names the parts that are shaded. That tells you you're looking for a fraction where the numerator is greater than the denominator. Who can name the fraction greater than 1? First, tell me what's the denominator. What is each whole divided into how many parts, Kyle? 2 parts. So 2 is the denominator. Halves. How many halves are shaded in the picture? Gianna? All together. 8/2. Tara ran 3 laps around her neighborhood for a total of 1 mile yesterday. Today she wants to run 2/3 of a mile. How many laps will she need to run around her neighborhood? So yesterday she ran 3 laps. 3 laps is equal to 1 mile. 1 hole. So they're showing you with the number line, 1/3 of a mile is 1 lap. 1/3 is 1 lap. 1/3 is 1 lap. She ran 3 laps to get her to 1 mile. Today she wants to run 2/3 of a mile. How many laps does she need to run? Joe? 2. Excellent job. You can use the number line to help you. Here's 2/3. That's 1 lap, 2 laps. Maria plants 8 tulip bulbs. She gives 3 of the tulip bulbs to her neighbor. What fraction of tulip bulbs does Maria give to her neighbor? It's way easier than you think. Kyle? No. She plants 8. She gives 3 of the bulbs away. How many does she give? What fraction does she give away, Joanna?
3.
Yeah. The shaded part of the model shows how many paintings were sold at an art show. What fraction of the paintings were sold? Gianna?
6.
Yep. Greg paints some shapes. Write a fraction greater than 1 that names the parts he painted. Hint, there are 8 pieces to each. What's the denominator I'm using? Kyle?
3. Wait, no. How many answers?
What's the answer? 24. What's the denominator? There are 3 holes, right? There are 3 holes. So 24 divided by what number is 3? 8. Because each one is divided into 8 pieces. 2 moms share 3 sandwiches equally. Write how much each mom gets. 2 moms, 3 sandwiches. We know each mom is getting a whole sandwich, right? 2 ways to do it, right? We can each divide each one in half. First, we can divide each one in half. Second, we can give 1 to each mom and then divide the remaining. How much does each mom get? Christian? 1 1/2. Mom A, Mom B, split the last one in half. 1 1/2 sandwiches. Omar shaded a model to show the amount of pizza he ate at lunch. What fraction of the pizza did Omar eat? The shaded part shows what he ate at lunch. Joe? 1/8. And that is the end of our study cast.